Have you ever written a letter? Like when you're... Why does this feel familiar? Have you ever written a letter as one does? Why am I getting deja vu? Have you ever written a letter and you mean to capitalize it, but then you don't? Wait a minute, I have been here before. Hello, everybody. We hit 100,000 subscribers. What? Why? As this one comment summed it up pretty much perfectly, little did Pixel know that ranking letters would change his life forever. Yeah, this silly video has put me here, standing in front of my whiteboard about to record another one for 100,000 people. First of all, thank you. But I have so many other things I want to say, which I will save for the end of the video, so stick around for that. But in the meantime, let's get to what you clicked on this video for. Easily my most requested video, by like a mile, is to rank letters by how easily you can capitalize them, but specifically with cursive letters. Actually, that's a lie. My most requested video is to do rank letters by how easily you can make them lowercase, like change them from uppercase to lowercase. I would like to take this opportunity to say, stop commenting that, because it's just the same video, but backwards. Literally nothing is going to change. It's quite literally, L is gonna be the easiest to uncapitalize, because you just erase this, and then Y is gonna be the hardest to uncapitalize, because you're gonna have to write a whole new Y and then erase the whole other letter. It's no different, it's the same video. Can we stop pretending like it's gonna be something new? So instead, today, we're doing something new, and that is ranking letters again. But this time they're cursive, so I have that excuse. So the thing is, I've been writing kind of like my whole life. Cursive, I only ever did in like 3rd grade, and that was it. That was it. It's been 12 years? I can feel my bones creaking as I turn to face this whiteboard. My back, I'm not even kidding. I don't know if the mic picked it up, but my back actually just popped. That is not a good sign. So I kind of had to like relearn cursive for this video. And because cursive is so incredibly confusing and annoying and very pointless, and I will stand by that, it's gonna be a lot harder to account for like the different ways people write letters. Because in my original video, right, I would continuously bring up T versus T. In this case, a cursive T, I don't really, there might be another way to write it. Some people might do like a loop with it, and cursive is weirder to account for. So for most of this subjective ranking, let me clarify, it's subjective. Just because I put something there doesn't mean it absolutely definitively goes there. For this ranking, I'm going to be focusing on the way I write letters, which is actually how I did it in the original letter video, but I still got so many people misunderstanding that and thinking that I was somehow declaring that this is the way it should be. You guys need to relax. All right, let's get started. We're gonna go, similar to last time, from top to bottom. Starting in S tier is conveniently S. I originally had this a lot lower, but upon like reviewing it, yeah, this one's kind of just the best. Lowercase s, at least the way I've always written it, is like that. And uppercase s is like that. A lot of this video, I'm gonna have trouble redrawing over my lines because drawing cursive is hard. Drawing cursive on a whiteboard is even harder. If I did it flawlessly, you wouldn't even be able to tell a difference. And this is the only one that's gonna have like a non-noticeable difference every single time. I've also always really liked cursive S. I don't know, why is this, why, these are new. I thought, that was a lot more aggressive than I meant for it to be. Hopefully this one worked. I might need new whiteboard markers. Where did the other one go? I threw it somewhere over here. Hello? Where did it, oh, here it is. Salvaged. Let's see if it works. Okay, you know what? That's gonna have to do for the video. I've also always really liked cursive S. It's just so, it's so clean, and it doesn't really look like S, but it's just such a fun, it's such a fun letter to draw. This is the only, okay, I will say, I hate cursive. I think it's pointless. The only part of cursive I like is my name. Because my name is like really cool. Look at like it. I almost forgot how to write my name for a second. That is such a cool looking name, especially the cursive L is so beautiful. Writing anything else in cursive is like torture, but this is by itself really cool. And cursive S is really cool. And of course, if I ever needed to capitalize it, It's so easy to. So that's why cursive S lands itself on the top of this list. Following cursive S, at spot number 2, is U. Now, U is pretty much flawless because similar to last time, you really just draw over it. The difference is that the starting point kind of creates this weird gap because you need to go higher, right? For lowercase u, you only need to go up to here. Uppercase u, you need to go up to here, which can create a pretty noticeable line difference. But that's it. Other than that, not really any different. And I made the argument in my original video that U kind of had to be pretty wide when it was uppercase, but in the case of cursive, you're kind of like, it doesn't really matter. The letters all kind of go on a diet when you're writing in cursive. So because of that, U only has minimal issues that I believe make it good enough to go second place in S tier. Following U, at spot number 3, is probably the biggest shock of this entire list. I don't want to reference the old list the entire video, but there are a lot of times where I will, and this is one of them because very last place in the last video was Y. Y has had an insane redemption arc. Before, Y was just terrible because you had to do it over the line, which means you just couldn't overlap anything, and therefore it ended up at the very bottom. But now, you can write it on the line and it works out flawlessly. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty much just a U, but with the tail now underneath it. And so the tail is the biggest reason I've put it beneath U, is because there's more room for error when writing. There's more room for error when writing. Jesus, that's a tongue twister. There's more room for error when writing Y. That is a hard. More room for error when There's more room for error when writing Y, as opposed to U, which is just a bit more streamlined. But they both end up looking pretty much identical to their lowercase counterparts. I'm just like, why? Oh my, like, what an incredible redemption arc. This is Arthur Morgan levels of redemption, and I just have to apologize to Y because I just didn't know it could play the game this well. That is cursive Y. Normal Y is still just terrible. Moving on to spot number 4 is another duo. There's a lot of duos in this list that kind, like, it'll be one letter and then just a slightly harder version of the same letter pretty much. So you can probably guess where this is going. I, and then spot number 5, immediately following I, is J. I kind of wrote that weirdly, but no, use your imagination. In both cases, the only thing that really changes is that there's like a loop added on. So in the case of I, you have that, and again, I'm pretty bad at like tracing back my lines, especially when writing in cursive, but ideally you'd be able to cover all of this just by writing the loop. And then with J, you'd be able to do pretty much the same thing. The only thing would be this line right here that would kind of jut out, but that's so minimal that I don't think it makes that much of a difference. These probably look like they should be lower, but it's mostly just my handwriting that's the reason they look this bad. I think most of the time when I write like lowercase i's and then I do the uppercase one, the dot kind of ends up in the middle of it, and then you get this shape down here. But if you do it really carefully, that's a really bloated I. If you do it really carefully, you should be able to like that's what it would look like if you were to do it flawlessly. And so we can't blame my handwriting for the reason that these are where they are, even though I am basing the entire list off of. I just realized this is broken. I broke the lid when I threw it. This marker is gonna get dried out now. This is this marker's last video. This is it. After this thing's going in the garbage bin. It's quite sad, really. Anyways, moving on. We are now out of S tier and in A tier. Now keep in mind, S tier was meant to be near flawless. The thing with cursive is that none of them are gonna be perfect. There's no perfection here. So S tier is just gonna be the best of the best. Whereas A tier is gonna be slightly worse. At the very top of A tier, at spot number 6, is similar to the last list, V. And also similar to the last list, at spot number 7, is W. Because really the only thing with both of these is that they end up kind of just being the same letter, but they tail off higher up than the lowercase counterpart, which means that you get kind of this funky shape on both of them. Realistically, if I'm writing like, I don't know, Valerie, That I haven't written in cursive in ages, guys. Cut me some slack. Like if I'm writing, okay, hold on. I need to lock in. If I write Valerie and then I need to capitalize the V, it doesn't really make much of a difference besides this kind of line here that it's because it's coming off of a higher point. So it's a weirder intersection than, you know, something like U or Y, where it ends up at the exact same point. Similarly, if I do W, and then I capitalize it, and then I capitalize, it just creates kind of a funky shape again. But if you write it like closer to it, you can kind of blend it almost. Like if you do that, then you do capital, you can blend it pretty well. It's just that sometimes the tail off point is gonna be a bit higher up on the uppercase letter, which causes a little bit of issue. One that's not as big a deal as letters later on, but also one that's not as excusable as I and J, per se. Waluigi. That's my Mario Party main. I don't really know why. Spot number 8 kind of comes as a surprise for 2 reasons, and that is L. That's lowercase l, obviously. I don't know why I clarified like I was gonna write the uppercase one first. Number 1, I thought L was gonna be higher on the list because it was number 1 on the old list, but also thinking about it, I didn't realize that like how easily you can blend these. I thought it was gonna end up way lower because I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, you get this whole big loop. How are you gonna blend the smoothness of the uppercase L into this? But truth be told, you kind of only end up with this line and that's about it. It could be way, way better. It could also be way, way worse. This whole tier list is just full of surprises, but spot number 9 is Z. The only thing you really end up with is this difference in height here. That's it. Pretty excusable. Not really a huge deal. I got a lot of people upset last time because they were talking about how they write their Z's with a line through the middle, and because I didn't, it ended up placing Z a lot lower. In this case, there is no line in the middle, at least that I'm aware of. So this ends up being here. That concludes our A tier. Moving into B tier, we start with the letter K. K is a bit odd because sometimes you write it with this loop and then sometimes you write it without the loop. I think more often than not, I write it with the loop, so that's why I've placed it lower. The biggest problem in both instances is the little circle here, because it kind of just juts out on both of them. I was gonna write a third K to better illustrate my point. You know the drill. It's just kind of like, that's really the biggest thing. The loop is pretty blendable into the line. You can just make it look a bit thicker, like it's just a thicker line, you know, but this little ball down here is the biggest issue. It juts out and it almost throws you off of realizing what letter it is, but it's not terrible. It's very middle of the road and average, and so top of B tier felt good enough for me. Up next, we have another duo. At spot 11 is N, and at spot 12 is M. And despite being, you know, cursive and not print, these are exactly the same as they are in print. In print, the biggest issue is that you end up with, you know, these lines underneath the bigger lines, and in cursive, it's the same. I believe these were at spot 13 and 14 respectively. These are at spot 11 and 12. So they score a little bit higher on cursive. Not really for any different reasons, it's just that there's more letters that end up being bad in cursive. This is a little more like annoyingly noticeable than the loop. The loop? Why did I say it? The loop? My New Yorker? It's just that they're slightly more like obnoxious than the loop in the lowercase k. So I think they go right underneath K, and B tier seems like a really good spot for them. Spot number 13 is D. Originally, I had this one a lot lower, and then I remembered that like way more people than had any right to commented that to fix D from lowercase to uppercase, doing it in cursive made more sense than print. Which is kind of true, because lowercase d looks like that, uppercase D has a loop here. So it, you know, it looks a little odd, but it's like way better than I would have initially thought. I don't think this is perfect by any means, but I have a lot more respect for it than I did in the initial draft of this video. I mean, looking at it now, it's not bad at all. My heart, my emotions, my gut instinct is telling me that this should be a lot higher than it has any right to be. But the way things have worked out, this is where it goes. I really want to put it higher, But this is just the way of the world. Spot number 14 goes to H. That's lowercase and uppercases. This is kind of an example of it's just such a mess that it ends up looking like a organized mess. Like you have the loop here and the line kind of arguing, and then you have the loop and line here kind of arguing, and then you have these two different endpoints. But it just, everything works out in the end. So you know what? H actually gives me some peace of mind. I think it works. I think it belongs in B tier. I thought we could have gone the whole video without that. I think it works. I think it belongs in B tier. And I think everything's gonna be all right. To start off, C tier is the letter B. That's lowercase b. And uppercase B is, I don't really know. It's kind of an amalgamation. The thing is, you got this line in here that is really bothering me, and then you got this line in here, which is also really bothering me. But at least they end up at the same point. If you write a word like, and then you have to fix it to be capitalized, it's really not a huge deal, but just the way some of the lines end up working makes it a lot uglier than I think it should be. These are really bad examples now that I'm looking at it, because those look horrendously worse than the example at the bottom. So let me give it one more try. Write a word and capitalize it. It's like, yeah, it's not that bad, but it's a little worse than average, and so I think C tier is a perfectly adequate spot for it. Spot number 16 is R. R is a bit of a weird one because initially it doesn't look like you'd be able to fix it, but upon like trying it, you can actually do a pretty good job. It looks weird. You know what I mean? The worst you get is still just like this jutting out here and then this jutting out here. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't really know. R's whole thing is this tail. Without this tail, there is no R. And so the fact that this is getting so horribly skewed between lowercase and uppercase is really throwing me off. But then also, if you do it in such a way where you can pretty much flawlessly fix it, it ends up like, it just looks odd. I really wish I could give R a better spot, but it's put itself in such a weird position, and so it goes in a weird position. After R, at spot number 17, is X. I'm going to fight you guys on this. I had so many comments telling me that in the original tier list, X should have been way higher, because despite the line, you can just make it bigger. And I'm here to argue that the top lines being bigger than the bottom ones is so much worse than you guys realize. I had so many people that watched the video tell me, hey, just extend the lines. No, because then it goes under the line. Are we blind? I need to calm down. With that being said, I am not going to put up with any of your guys' BS telling me that cursive X is the same. Cursive X, right? Like that. Uppercase cursive X. You still get the longer lines on top. I'm not going to put up with this idea that to fix it, we can just extend them. It's not going to work. It might be better than R. It might be better than B. Hell, it might be better than K. But this is disgusting, and we are going to acknowledge that. Okay? Good. End of story. Moving on. Spot number 18 is C. I think this is a bit of an odd placement. Why is it so low? Why is it at the bottom of C tier? That's just an E. It's the same problem as last time. It just doesn't really work. I would say after this is the turning point, where we go from slightly annoying to pretty bad. Which brings us to D tier. Starting off, our D tier is the letter that C kind of looks like when you correct it, and that is E. Now, I, for the life of me, couldn't remember what an uppercase cursive E looks like, but all the research I did told me it is this. That's pretty icky. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can kind of just blend this into the circle that appears at the bottom. But like, it's It's just making me uncomfortable. Following E at spot 20 and 21 is the final duo of this list, and that is A and O, because in both cases you just get a circle. The reason O is lower than A is because A ends up at the same point, whereas O doesn't end up at the same point. Also, the fact that A kind of like blends itself together down here, whereas O is only doing it here, it's just slightly worse than A, but they're both pretty bad. Spot number 22 gets us T. I am going to argue this point. Last time, I had so many people telling me that this is not that big of a deal. I'm sorry, it is. That is not a T, it's a double-sided F. Similarly, in cursive, that is a T. That is an atrocity. It might not be that bad, because honestly, I could probably blend this better and then blend this line into this one better. Also, a letter coming up that we haven't yet discussed, which, you know, I'd be shocked if you could guess it, I think makes this so much worse than just the line in the middle. This is the one singular line in this list that causes the most damage. And so because of that, I've pretty much erased the letter. Let's just kill it and move on and accept that T goes at spot 22. Spot 23 doesn't really come as a surprise considering the last list, and that is Q, which turns into that, I guess. Q is another one that I couldn't really figure out how to do the capital version of. Some sites said to do it like this, some sites said to do it like this, some sites were telling me to, I don't know. However, this one kind of like sparked something in the back of my head. The one that looks like a 2, this one, it like ignited a distant memory in my brain somewhere. So that's the one I'm going with. And in the case of capitalizing it, the only thing you can really do is kind of integrate the circle, which is more than you could do with the print Q, right? Because that was just, oh my God, don't even remind me. But that's really it. And that is still worse than T or O or A or E. It's just really not great. You got this line here, you got this whole sack hanging down. It's a pretty bad one. But we still have 3 more letters, ladies and gentlemen, all 3 of which are in F tier. Spot 24, the start of F tier is P. What do I do? Can I, like, P is... What is that? Keeping up with tradition. I can't, you know, if I'm, okay, let's do a Disney movie. Pocahontas. Pocahontas. I'm not even fixing that, I don't care. Which means that if you want to capitalize it, you gotta turn it into this amalgamation of a B with a tail, and everything about this is off. Pocahontas. I don't know why Pocahontas is so funny to me. Pocahontas might look a little prettier, but this is still just disgusting. Cursive is weird because it just is like so much more middle of the road. You don't have nearly as many high highs as you do with print, but you also don't have... No, you do have the low lows. I lied. P just ends up being slightly worse than it was in the original. But I don't really feel any sympathy for it because this is still just awful. At spot 25, almost exactly in the same spot it was at last time, is G. However, unlike last time, you can't really merge uppercase G and lowercase g to form this fun loop-de-loop shape. Instead, now the person who designed uppercase G for cursive must have been smoking some really strong stuff because I don't even know what the hell that shape is supposed to be. Are we serious? Are you kidding me? What is that? How are these similar at all? There's not really any overlap for this at all. Plus, they almost kind of come out at different points. If you really want to try to connect it, I guess you can. I don't know. They could have done exactly what they did with Y, where they just do it but bigger, right? Imagine they did that with G. You just have G, and then you have a bigger G. And it would have been so much better off. But no, let's create, you know, a hieroglyphic that came from space. I just gotta wonder what G must have done to the person who designed cursive letters. because surely it didn't deserve this. It's bad. You could say it's the worst one on the list. But you'd be wrong. There is one letter that ends up below G. You know what that letter is? At the bottom of F tier? F. I don't even want to be near it. There are two things here that connect. You know what they are? This line and this line. Other than that, what is happening? It's chaos. This must have been what, like, the government was invented for, to regulate things like this. Because why is there a line here, this little stick up here, this bulge here, this line here, this loop here, this loop here? What is happening? Easily the worst letter of the list. I don't think it's even close. You have S tier up here, then you have A tier here, then you have B, C, and D tier kind of all just conglomerated together with slight differences. Then you have like maybe the bottom of D tier down here, and then F tier is just, it's just all the way down here, man. It's just completely different. I hope that's not. I might have just made a mistake. The bar is on the floor. The bar is under the floor. The bar is in the basement. This is disgusting. I'm inclined to think, even though it has two sections where it overlaps on the old letter, I'm inclined to think that this is worse than print Y. Because at least that had like a little grace to it, or at least, you know, it flaunted itself kind of unapologetically. I think this should just not exist. It's terrible, it's awful, and now I need to find a way to clean this off because I think I might have just, that might be permanent. And that concludes this tier list of cursive letters by how easily you can capitalize them. I think this one made me more upset than the last. Ultimately, cursive is, it's stupid. That's what it is. It's stupid, and that's all I have to say. Goodbye. It came in. Obviously, it arrived. I'm not gonna be able to show this because it has my address on it, but I'm really excited to open this, and I wanted to do it on camera. And it came in yesterday, but I was out all day visiting friends in another city, and then I got back home at like midnight, and then by that point, I was like too tired to record anything. And then I stayed up till 3 a.m. But we're here now, and we're gonna unbox it. And I don't know. I just wanted to do it on camera because I feel like it would be a bit less sincere if I was just like, oh yeah, by the way, the plaque came in and I hung up my wall. And I don't know, obviously I've never gotten something like this before, so it's kind of a big deal. Right, so, I forgot scissors. Let me grab those real quick. I wanna be careful with these, obviously, because I don't wanna ruin nothing. That tape cut like way too easily. That is some nice tape. But can we just take a moment to admire the tape YouTube uses on their plaque boxes? I'm not being very safe right now. There we go, I think. Oh, there's foam. Okay, there's a little business card and a piece of paper. And then there's obviously the big thing. But before we get to that, let me read this. My guess is that this is kind of the thing that they send to everybody, but I'm still gonna read it. Do you remember your first subscriber? Yeah, it was probably, I think it was my brother. I'll go with my brother, Yannick. Shout out, Yannick. Your 100th? I don't remember my 100th, but I do remember when I hit 100. I was on like a camping trip with my family. It was the middle of the mountains, no reception anywhere. I remember we went down to like the lodge, like the head of the resort we were staying at or whatever, the like camping resort where they have all the sites and whatnot. And I had reception, but like just barely. And for those of you that remember, I started out on like a game called Pocket Build. Like I did stuff on a very, very niche mobile game. And the developer of the game, I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this right, he put my like channel in, like he shouted me out in the game. And that's what pushed me over the edge to 100 subscribers, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering that right. which was, I don't know, that was such a cool moment. I'm not gonna forget that anytime soon. Unfortunately, I don't remember my 100th subscriber by like name. Also, there's not really a way to figure that out reliably, but I remember when it happened. And then it says, or your 1000th subscriber. Again, I don't remember my 1000th subscriber specifically, but I remember when it happened, because I made a Roblox jailbreak channel, and that did phenomenally well at the time. Right now it's sitting at around a quarter of 100K, 25,000 subs-ish. That channel hit 1,000 subscribers before this one. This one hit it on like a random Thursday because I shouted it out from the other channel. But I remember when It's Pixel, the jailbreak channel, hit 1,000. It was like 11 p.m. at night, and I realized, oh shoot, I'm about to hit 1,000 subs, because I had a few videos that did really well, and I was just refreshing, and then I just see 1,000. I'm pretty sure I have the screenshot still. I'll throw that up on screen. I have it for that channel and for this one, so those will be on screen, just, you know, to kind of prove it. Chances are you do, and we know that you'll definitely remember your 100,000th subscriber. Obviously, we hit 100K very recently, like I think 2 weeks ago at this point, and I remember that moment vividly, and I probably will for the rest of my life. Me and my family were on like a road trip. That's why I was posting a bunch of those random community posts of me at a bunch of different spots. We were staying in Portland, and like the few days before, I had been like trying to mentally figure out at the rate I was getting subs at when I might hit 100K, because I did not want to miss that. I don't care what time it was at. I was getting that screenshot of 100,000 next to my name. And I remember I was at like 99,960. And for the next hour, I was just laying in the hotel bed, just refreshing. And it got to a point where I started screenshotting the individual 99995, 99996, 99997, 99998, and then 9999, and then 100,000. And it was, I don't know, it didn't really hit me at the time. I don't think it has hit me yet, but like, it's just such an unfathomably large number. It was incredible. Your fans may have found you while searching YouTube, learned about you through a friend, or maybe you showed up as a recommended video. No matter how they came to your channel, your audience stayed and their numbers increased because of you and the community you've built. I remember the letter video, the reason I'm standing here, as mentioned earlier in this very video, kind of just blew up out of nowhere. I uploaded it end of day 1, it maybe had 70 views. End of day 2, 150 views. End of day 3, 200 views. And my channel at the time, that was like about average for that. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, you know, it's fine. I enjoyed making the video. That's what matters. And then day 4, I checked my phone and the video was at 80,000 views. That kind of is an understatement. It very much caught me off guard. And I just remember being absolutely mind blown. I can't say thank you enough, and I wish I felt more grateful, because like, I'm speechless. I can't get words out. Oh my God. We're proud to honor your impressive milestone of reaching 100,000 subscribers with this Silver Creator Award. Congratulations. Is this the part where I grab it, or do I read the rest of the letter for? Okay, I'll just look at it. Oh, come on. I wanna see it. I mean, I already do see it, but like, look it. It's my name. Dude. Presented to Pixel for passing 100,000 subscribers. That's so sick. Dude, it's it's pretty small, but like, it's so cool. This award was inspected and packaged with great care by Rick. Rick, shout out to you, man. I appreciate it. We know that you have many more stories to share with your community, and we know your fans can't wait for you to amaze them even more with your commitment and creativity. Okay, YouTube's kind of glazing me here. Y'all don't need to be doing all that. So keep creating, keep building. We can't wait to see what you'll do next, and we're here to support you along the way. And who knows, when you reach your 1,000,000th subscriber, we may just write to you and ask, do you remember your 100,000th subscriber? Yours sincerely, Neil Moen, YouTube CEO. I hope I said his name right. Million? I'm not ready for million. Can I breathe first, please? This has all happened so incredibly fast. April was when I uploaded the letter video. It's July. It's been 3 months, and I'm here. I feel so blessed, and I don't know how to, like, put that into words. I remember watching YouTube like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade that's when I started watching YouTube regularly enough to like have favorite YouTubers. One of which was, you know, Dan TDM was probably like my #1 for the longest time. And then I found more and more YouTubers as time went on, and it's just, it's so incredible, because I might not be having a good day sometimes. I might not be feeling that great. I might be down in the dumps a little bit. And YouTube ends up being a distraction for me. My favorite YouTubers end up being things that make me smile when I'm not feeling great. And now to hear from people in my comment sections and on my Discord and stuff that I'm that person to them. I'm a person who entertains them enough to distract them from something bad that might be going on in their lives. Or hell, even if they're just having a grand old day, I can just add some more joy to that day. To be that person is a blessing that's worth more to me than I think anything in the world. I don't quite know how to word it. I just... What can I really say other than thank you? I can't wait to see what comes next. I can't wait to see what other silly videos I make. I can't wait to see what you guys think of said silly videos. And I just... Thank you. I just realized that, like, I'm sitting in a new location and there's a bunch of, like, stuff on the wall that you guys have never seen before. So let's do a poster tour real quick. Okay, so we got, so right there there's the Geralt of Rivia, you know, the one and only. I haven't finished Witcher 3 yet, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I played Witcher 1 and 2. I think Witcher 3 is better than them combined, so, you know, I wanted a poster of Geralt. And then we have 2 Star Wars ones. We have, like, a postcard from Naboo, and then, like, the Star Wars, like, characters. And then up here we have 3 more video games, Minecraft. This poster I've had for, like, as long as I can, like, as long as I've been doing Cursive for, I've had that poster. And then 9 Souls, probably my favorite video game of all time, or one of them. And then Titanfall 2, which is also, if you haven't played, if you like FPS games and you haven't played Titanfall 2, go play Titanfall 2. Yeah, that's the poster tour. Yes, I have a Spider-Man phone case. Okay, don't judge.